The desert wind cut through Keanu's leather jacket as he rode his motorcycle down Boulder Highway. The road stretched ahead like a black ribbon under the star-filled Nevada sky. It was past midnight, and he was finally heading home after a long day of filming in Las Vegas. The city lights had faded behind him, leaving only the empty highway and the vast darkness of the desert. Keanu loved these quiet rides. The rumble of his bike's engine and the cool night air helped him think. Today's shoot had been difficult, with long hours and complicated stunts. But now, riding through the peaceful desert, he felt the stress melting away. The stars above looked brighter out here, away from the city's glow. He had been riding for about 20 minutes when something caught his eye. Far ahead, near the edge of his headlight beam, he saw a small shape moving on the side of the road. At first, he thought it might be a desert animal, maybe a coyote or a stray dog. But as he got closer, his heart jumped. It was a person. A very small person. Keanu quickly pulled over, his tires crunching on the gravel shoulder. He turned off the engine and removed his helmet, listening carefully. The desert was silent except for the ticking of his cooling bike and the distant sound of wind through the sparse desert plants. He looked again at the small figure walking slowly along the roadside. It was a child. A toddler, maybe 3 years old, wearing light blue pajamas with little stars printed on them. The child was walking calmly, as if taking a stroll in a safe neighborhood instead of wandering alone on a dangerous highway in the middle of nowhere. Keanu's mind raced. Where were the parents? How had a toddler ended up alone on this remote stretch of road? There were no broken-down cars nearby, no signs of an accident. The nearest town was miles away in either direction. He approached the child slowly, not wanting to frighten them. "Hey there, little one," he called out gently. "Are you okay?" The child stopped walking and turned to face him. Even in the dim light from his motorcycle's headlamp, Keanu could see the child's face clearly. They had large, bright eyes and an unusually calm expression for someone so young found in such a frightening situation. "Hello," the child said in a clear, steady voice. "I have been waiting for someone like you." Keanu blinked in surprise. The child's voice was strange. Not the high, babbling speech he expected from a toddler, but clear and precise, almost like an adult speaking through a child's mouth. The words were perfectly pronounced, with no trace of the lisp or unclear sounds. "Typical of very young children. Waiting for someone like me?" Keanu asked, kneeling down to the child's eye level. "What do you mean? Where are your parents? How did you get here?" The child looked at him with those unusually bright eyes. "My name is Alex. I have been walking for many cycles, waiting for the right person to find me. You are kind. I can sense." Keanu felt a chill that had nothing to do with the desert night air. Something about this situation felt very wrong, but not in a dangerous way. It was more like the feeling he got sometimes on movie sets when the special effects team was preparing something spectacular behind the scenes. "Alex, that's a nice name," Keanu said, trying to keep his voice calm and friendly. "But I need to know where your mom and dad are. Were you in a car? Did something happen?" Alex tilted their head slightly, studying Keanu's face. "They went to the bright place beyond the mountains. They told me to wait here until someone with a good heart would come. They said it would be someone who helps others without expecting anything back." The words sent another chill through Keanu. How could a 3-year-old speak like this? And what did they mean about parents going to a bright place? He looked around again, searching for any sign of other people or vehicles. The highway was completely empty in both directions. "Alex, how long have you been walking out here?" Keanu asked. "Time moves differently here," Alex replied, which was certainly not something a normal toddler would say. "But I knew you would come. I saw your kindness from far away." Keanu stood up and pulled out his phone to call for help. The screen showed no signal bars at all. That was strange. He remembered having full signal when he left Las Vegas, and cell towers usually covered the main highways. He walked a few steps in different directions, holding his phone up, but still no signal. "That will not work here," Alex said matter-of-factly. "What won't work?" Keanu asked, though he was beginning to suspect the answer. "The talking device. Nothing like that works properly in this place." Keanu looked at his phone again, then at the child. Alex stood calmly in the starlight, completely unafraid and seemingly unbothered by the cold desert air. Most 3-year-olds would be crying by now, scared and calling for their parents. But Alex seemed more composed than many adults Keanu knew. "Alex, are you cold? Are you hungry or thirsty?" Keanu asked, taking off his leather jacket. "I do not need those things right now," Alex said. "But thank you for thinking of my comfort. That is why you were chosen." "Chosen for what?" Alex smiled, and in that smile, Keanu saw something that made his breath catch. The child's teeth were perfectly straight and white, more like an adult's teeth than a toddler's. And when the smile reached their eyes, those eyes seemed to reflect the starlight in a way that human eyes shouldn't be able to do. "To help me complete my journey," Alex said, "and to show me what makes your kind so special." Keanu felt the hair on the back of his neck stand up. "My kind?" "Humans," Alex said simply, as if it was the most natural thing in the world for a toddler to categorize people as a species. "I have been studying you for a long time, but I needed to see for myself. What makes you different from all the others?" The desert around them seemed to grow quieter, as if even the wind was holding its breath. Keanu looked up at the stars again and noticed something that made his heart skip. The constellations were wrong. The Big Dipper wasn't where it should be. Orion was missing entirely. The star patterns he had known since childhood were completely different. "Alex," he said slowly, "where exactly are we?" The child's unusual eyes met his, and for a moment, Keanu felt as if he was looking into something vast and ancient, despite the young face before him. "We are exactly where we need to be," Alex said. "And now the real test begins." Keanu stared at Alex for a long moment, trying to make sense of what the child had just said. "The real test begins." What did that mean? And why did looking at those star patterns make him feel like the world had tilted sideways? "Alex, I think we should get you somewhere safe and warm," Keanu said, pushing down his growing unease. "There's a diner about 10 miles up the road. We can call the police from there and find your family." "That sounds like a good plan," Alex agreed, nodding like a small adult. "But I should warn you, not everyone will be able to see me the way you do." Before Keanu could ask what that meant, Alex walked over to his motorcycle. The child climbed onto the back seat as easily as if they had done it 100 times before, showing no fear of the large machine. "Do you know how to ride on a motorcycle?" Keanu asked. "I learn quickly," Alex replied. "And I trust you to keep me safe." Keanu helped Alex put on his spare helmet, though it was far too big for the small head. As they rode toward the distant lights of the diner, he kept thinking about Alex's strange words. "Not everyone will be able to see me the way you do." What could that possibly mean? The Sunset Diner sat alone beside the highway like a bright island in the dark desert. Its neon sign buzzed and flickered, casting pink and blue light across the empty parking lot. Only a few cars were parked outside, which was normal for this time of night. Keanu had stopped here before during his late-night rides. The food was decent, and the staff was friendly. He parked his bike near the entrance and helped Alex down. The child moved with surprising grace, landing lightly on their feet and looking around with curious eyes. "This place feels old," Alex observed. "Many people have been happy here and sad. I can sense their emotions lingering in the air." Keanu looked at the ordinary-looking diner, wondering how a 3-year-old could sense such things. "It's been here for about 30 years, I think. Let's go inside and get you something warm to drink." The diner's interior was typical of roadside restaurants, red vinyl booths, black and white checkered floors, and a long counter with spinning stools. A few truckers sat at the counter drinking coffee, and an elderly couple shared a late dinner in one of the booths. The waitress behind the counter was a woman in her 50s with graying hair and kind eyes. Her name tag read, Betty. "Well, hello. There, Keanu," Betty called out with a warm smile. "Haven't seen you in a while. Your usual spot." Keanu had always liked Betty. She treated everyone with genuine kindness and never made a big deal about him being famous. "Hi, Betty. Yes, the corner. Booth would be great. And could we get a hot chocolate for my young friend here?" Betty looked directly at Keanu. Then her eyes seemed to pass right over Alex without stopping. "Hot chocolate?" "Sure thing, honey. Just for you tonight." Keanu felt his stomach drop. "Betty, this is Alex. The hot chocolate is for Alex." Betty's expression didn't change. She continued looking at Keanu with a friendly but slightly confused smile. "Alex, I don't see anyone with you, sweetie. Are you feeling okay? You look a little tired." Keanu looked down at Alex, who was standing right beside him, as solid and real as anyone in the diner. The child looked back at him with those unusually bright eyes and gave a small, knowing nod. "I told you," Alex said quietly. "Not everyone can see me the way you do." "Betty, are you sure you don't see a child standing right here?" Keanu asked, his voice tight with confusion. Betty frowned with concern. "Keanu, honey, you're standing there all by yourself. Maybe you should sit down and have some coffee." "Long night riding?" One of the truckers at the counter turned around. "You talking to yourself there, buddy? Happens to the best of us on these long desert runs." Keanu felt like he was losing his mind. Alex was clearly visible to him, standing there in star-covered pajamas, looking perfectly real and solid. But everyone else acted as if the child didn't exist. "Let's sit down," Alex suggested, tugging gently on Keanu's jacket. "I can explain." They walked to the corner booth, and Keanu watched in amazement as people moved around Alex without seeming to notice them. When the elderly couple got up to leave, the man stepped slightly to the side as he passed their table, as if avoiding something, but his eyes never focused on Alex. Betty came over with a cup of coffee for Keanu. She set it down and smiled. "There you go. You sure you don't want anything else, pie? Sandwich? The hot chocolate?" Keanu asked weakly. "Hot chocolate for who, honey?" Betty asked, genuinely puzzled. Alex reached across the table and gently touched Keanu's hand. "Tell her. Just coffee is fine. I don't need the hot chocolate anyway." "Just coffee is fine, Betty. Thank you." After Betty left, Keanu leaned across the table and whispered, "Alex, what's happening here? Why can't anyone else see you?" Alex folded their small hands on the table like a tiny businessman preparing for a meeting. "Because I'm not entirely here in the way you understand. I exist in a space between what you call real and what you call imagination. Most people's minds can't process what I am, so they simply don't see me. But I can see you. Yes, that's very rare among your kind. It means your mind is more open than most. You can perceive things that others cannot." Keanu rubbed his temples, feeling a headache building. "Alex, I don't understand any of this. Are you saying you're not real?" "I'm very real, but I'm not human. And I'm not from your world." The words hung in the air between them like a challenge. Keanu looked around the diner at the normal people doing normal things. Drinking coffee, eating pie, talking about ordinary problems. Everything looked so regular and familiar. But here he was, having a conversation with a child who claimed to be from another world, and who was invisible to everyone but him. "Prove it," Keanu said quietly. Alex smiled, and again Keanu noticed how adult-like that expression was. "What would you like me to prove? If you're not human, if you're not from here, then tell me something I don't know. Something only I would know." Alex's eyes seemed to grow brighter. When you were 7 years old, you found an injured bird in your backyard, a small sparrow with a broken wing. You kept it in a shoebox in your room for 3 weeks, feeding it with an eyedropper and talking to it every day. You named it Charlie. Keanu's breath caught. He had never told anyone about Charlie. It was one of his most private childhood memories. You cried when Charlie died, Alex continued softly. Not because you were sad, but because you felt responsible. You thought you should have been able to save something so small and helpless. That feeling never left you. It's why you help people now. Why you give money to charities and visit children. In hospitals, you're still trying to save Charlie. Tears stung Keanu's eyes. No one knew about Charlie. No one could know about Charlie. Your friend River, Alex said, even more gently. You still dream about him sometimes. You wonder what movies he would have made, what music he would have played. You keep a picture of him in your wallet, but you've never shown it to anyone. Keanu's hand moved unconsciously to his wallet. The fade-to picture was there, faded and worn from years of carrying it. How? He whispered. Because I've been watching, Alex said. Not just you, but all of your kind, learning what makes you special. What makes you worth saving? The diner around them seemed to fade away as Keanu stared into those impossible eyes. Worth saving from what? Alex stared at Keanu for a long moment, as if deciding how much truth one human could handle at once. The diner around them continued its normal late-night rhythm, but Keanu felt like he and Alex existed in a bubble separate from the rest of the world. Worth saving from what? Keanu repeated, his voice barely above a whisper. From themselves, Alex said simply. And from others who believe your kind is too dangerous to be allowed to grow. Keanu leaned back in the booth, his coffee growing cold as he tried to process what he was hearing. Alex, I need you to explain this clearly. What are you? Where do you come from? And what does any of this have to do with me finding you on that highway? Alex looked around the diner, watching Betty serve coffee to the truckers and the late-night customers going about their normal lives. My real name is not Alex. It's something your mouth could not pronounce and your mind could not remember. Alex is a name I chose because it sounds friendly and safe to human ears. Okay, so what are you really? I am what you might call an observer. My people are called the Kethver. We have been watching your world for thousands of your years, studying your species as you grew from cave dwellers to space travelers. Keanu felt like the ground was shifting beneath him. You're an alien. Yes, though I do not like that word. It makes me sound strange and frightening. I prefer to think of myself as a neighbor from a distant place. And you look like a 3-year-old, because ... Alex's expression grew sad. Because this form makes humans feel protective instead of afraid. Your kind has a powerful instinct to care for your young. When you see a child in need, you help without thinking about danger to yourself. It seemed like the best way to meet you safely. How old are you really? In your years, I am about 347 years old. I have been studying human behavior for most of that time. Keanu rubbed his forehead, feeling overwhelmed. 300 years, and you've been watching us all this time? Not just me, many of my people. We have observers in every major city on your planet. We watch how you treat each other, how you solve problems, how you react to fear and joy and loss. We have been writing a very long report about humanity. A report for who? Alex's eyes grew more serious. For the Galactic Council. There are many species among the stars, Keanu, hundreds of different kinds of intelligent life. And they all have to decide what to do about humanity. What do you mean, what to do about us? Your species is young but growing very quickly. In just a few thousand years, you went from simple hunters to beings who can split atoms and reach other worlds. Most species take much longer to develop that kind of power. Keanu thought about human history, the wars, the weapons, the environmental Damage, and that worries them. Some of them, yes. They look at your violence and your weapons, and they fear what you might do when you become stronger. They think maybe it would be safer to stop your progress now, before you become a threat to others. The words hit Keanu like a physical blow. Stop our progress? How? There are many ways to limit a species without destroying them completely. Make their technology fail, cause their leaders to make poor decisions. Create disasters that keep them focused on survival instead of growth. You're talking about controlling us, making us fail. Some members of the council believe that would be the wise choice. They have seen other young species become dangerous as they gain power. They do not want to take that risk with humanity. Keanu felt a chill of fear, not for himself but for everyone he cared about. For all the people going about their normal lives, unaware that beings from other worlds were deciding their fate. But you don't agree with them. That is what I am here to determine. My people, the Kethver, have not yet made our decision. We have been watching longer than most, and we have seen things that the others have not noticed. What kinds of things? Alex smiled, and for the first time, it looked like a real child's smile instead of something ancient wearing a young face. Your kindness to strangers. Your willingness to help those who cannot help you in return. Your ability to create beautiful things, just because they make you happy. But we also do terrible things. We have wars. We hurt each other. We damage our planet. Yes, you do. But you also feel guilt about those things. You try to do better. You make stories and songs about being kinder and braver. Most species lose that desire to improve themselves as they grow older and more powerful. But humans seem to keep trying to become better than they are. Keanu thought about all the people he knew who volunteered at charities, who adopted stray animals, who helped their neighbors without expecting anything back. So you're studying us to see if we're worth saving. I am studying you to see if you are worth trusting. There is a difference. And what have you decided? Alex was quiet for a moment, watching Betty refill coffee cups and chat with the customers. I have not decided yet. That is why I needed to meet you in person. I have watched you from far away for many years. I have seen your movies and read about your charity work. I have observed how you treat people when you think no one is watching. But I needed to see how you would react to something completely unexpected. Like finding a strange child on a desert highway. Yes, I needed to see if you would help someone who could give you nothing in return. Someone who might even be dangerous to you. Keanu looked at Alex's small form, still finding it hard to believe this child was actually an ancient alien observer. Are you dangerous to me? I could be. I have abilities that might frighten you. I can make you see things that are not there, or stop you from seeing things that are. I can know your thoughts if I choose to. I can change your memories. Have you been reading my thoughts? Only the surface ones. The thoughts about kindness and worry and confusion. I do not look at your private thoughts without permission. That would be rude. Despite everything, Keanu almost smiled. An alien worried about being rude. Thank you for that, you see? This is what I mean. Even when you learned that I could invade your mind, you thank me for choosing not to. Most species would demand to know why they should trust me. You simply appreciate the courtesy. So what happens now? Do I pass your test? Do I fail? What determines whether humanity gets to continue growing? Alex's expression grew very serious. The test is not over yet. Finding you on the highway was only the beginning. What I really need to see is how you handle the truth about what is happening to your world. What do you mean? You are not the first human I have contacted, Keanu. Over the past year, I have met with 12 others. Scientists, teachers, artists, leaders, people who represent the best of what humanity can be. What happened to them? They are all still alive and safe. But each one reacted differently to learning about the Galactic Council and the decision that must be made. Some became angry. Some became afraid. Some tried to find ways to fight back or hide from us. And what did you think of those reactions? I understood them. Fear and anger are natural responses to learning that you are not alone in the universe, and that others are making decisions about your future. But I am hoping you will show me something different. What are you hoping for? Alex leaned forward, and in those strange bright eyes, Keanu saw something that looked almost like hope. I am hoping you will show me that humans can face the impossible with wisdom and courage. That you can think about what is best for everyone, not just yourselves. That you can prove my people right for believing in you. Keanu felt the weight of not just his own future, but the future of everyone he had ever known, resting on his shoulders. And if I can't? If I'm not wise enough or brave enough, then the council will make their decision without the support of the Kefvar. And I fear that decision will not be in humanity's favor. Outside the diner, the desert wind howled softly across the empty highway, carrying with it the hopes and fears of an entire species hanging in the balance. Keanu sat in silence for several minutes, staring into his cold coffee while Alex waited patiently. The weight of what he had learned pressed down on him like a heavy blanket. The future of humanity resting on his shoulders seemed impossible to accept, yet here he was, sitting across from a 300-year-old alien who looked like a toddler. Alex, he finally said, I need to ask you something important. This diner, this highway, even you finding me tonight, none of this is real, is it? Alex tilted their head, studying Keanu's face. What makes you think that? The stars were wrong. My phone has no signal in a place where it should work. Betty can't see you, but she moves around you like you're there. And now you're telling me that I'm being tested to determine the fate of all humanity. It feels like... Keanu paused, searching for the right words. Like a dream? Like a movie? Like a simulation? Like you've created some kind of test environment? Alex smiled, and this time it was definitely the smile of someone much older and wiser than 3 years. You are very perceptive. Yes, this place is not quite real in the way you understand reality. We call it a constructed space. Everything you see here has been built specifically for this purpose. Keanu looked around the diner again. Betty was still serving coffee. The truckers were still talking about their routes, and the elderly couple had been replaced by a young woman reading a book in the corner booth. It all looked perfectly normal, but now he could sense something artificial about it, like a movie set that was almost perfect but not quite. So none of these people are real? They are real in their own way. They are projections based on thousands of real humans we have observed. They act and speak like real people would, but they exist only in this space, only for this test. And the test is to see how I react to learning the truth about the Galactic Council. Partially, yes, but there's more to it than that. Alex stood up in the booth, suddenly looking very serious despite their small size. The real test is about to begin now. What you have learned so far is just the background. Now I need to see how you handle actual choices that will affect real people. As Alex spoke, the diner around them began to change. The lights dimmed slightly, and Keanu could hear new sounds from outside, car engines, shouting voices, and what sounded like someone crying for help. What's happening? The first scenario, Alex said. In a moment, you will hear about a car accident on the highway. You will have to choose whether to go help, knowing that it might put you in danger, or stay here where it is safe. But if this is all a simulation, then the people in the accident aren't real either. Alex's expression grew very serious. The people in the accident are real, Keanu. We can create this space and control what happens here, but we cannot create human souls. The people you will meet tonight are real humans who have been brought into this test space. What you do will have real consequences for them. Before Keanu could ask more questions, Betty hurried over to their table, looking worried. Keanu, there's been a terrible accident just down the highway, she said urgently. A family with 2 small children. Their car flipped over and caught fire. The emergency crews are 20 minutes away, but those people need help right now. Keanu started to stand up, but Alex grabbed his arm. Wait. Before you decide, you should know that helping them will put you at risk. The car is unstable and could explode. You might be seriously hurt or killed trying to save them. Are you telling me not to help? I am telling you the truth about the danger. The choice is yours to make. Keanu looked at Alex, then at Betty, then toward the door where he could hear the sounds of the accident growing louder. Someone was screaming for help, and he could smell smoke drifting in from outside. If I don't help them, will they die? Probably, Alex said quietly, but you would be safe. And if I do help them, you might save their lives, or you might die trying. Keanu stood up without hesitation. Then I helped them. That's not even a choice. He ran toward the door, but Alex called after him. Wait, this is important. Why are you helping them? You don't know these people. They can't do anything for you. In return, you might die for strangers. Keanu paused at the door and looked back. Because it's the right thing to do. Because they need help and I can provide it. Because if I don't try, I'll have to live with knowing I could have saved them, but chose my own safety instead. Alex nodded slowly. Go then, but remember, this is only the first test. Keanu ran outside into the desert night. About 100 yards down the highway, he could see a car that had rolled off the road and was lying on its side. Smoke was pouring from the engine, and he could hear voices calling for help from inside. As he ran toward the accident, his mind was racing. This was a test, but Alex had said the people were real. If he failed to save them, real people would die. If he died trying to save them, would that prove something good or bad about humanity to the Galactic Council? He reached the overturned car and could see a man and woman trapped inside, along with 2 young children who were crying. The man's leg was pinned under the dashboard, and the woman was unconscious. The smell of gasoline was strong, and the smoke was getting thicker. Help us. The man shouted when he saw Keanu. Please, get my kids out first. Keanu didn't hesitate. He found a rock and smashed the rear window, then carefully pulled the 2 children out of the car. They were scared, but didn't seem badly hurt. He carried them to safety, then went back for the adults. The woman was easier to get out because she was unconscious and not fighting the rescue. Keanu managed to pull her through the broken window and drag her away from the car. But the man was stuck, his leg trapped under twisted metal. I can't get free, the man said, panic in his voice. The car's going to blow up. Save yourself. I'm not leaving you, Keanu said, looking around for something to use as a lever. The smoke was getting thicker, and he could hear crackling sounds. From the engine that suggested fire was spreading. He found a piece of metal from the crash and used it to pry at the dashboard. Slowly, inch by inch, he managed to lift it enough for the man to pull his leg free. Together, they crawled out of the car and stumbled away just as the engine burst into flames. They had barely reached safety when the car exploded, sending a ball of fire into the night sky. Keanu and the man fell to the ground, shielding their faces from the heat. You saved us, the man said, tears in his eyes. You risked your life for people you don't even know. Keanu helped the man to his feet and looked back at the burning wreckage. Anyone would have done the same thing. No, said a familiar voice behind him. Not everyone would have. Keanu turned to see Alex standing nearby, no longer looking like a small child, but somehow seeming older and wiser despite their unchanged appearance. How did I do? Keanu asked. Very well. But that was only the first test. There are more to come, and they will be harder. The next one will test not your courage, but your wisdom. As Alex spoke, the scene around them began to change again. The burning car faded away, along with the family Keanu had just saved. The highway became empty and quiet once more. Were they real? Keanu asked. They were real people in real danger. You saved real lives tonight. But now they are safe and back in their own lives with no memory of this place. And the next test? Alex's expression grew very serious. The next test will ask you to choose between what is right and what is easy. Between helping humanity and helping yourself. It will be much harder than rescuing people from a burning car. Keanu took a deep breath and nodded. I'm ready. We shall see, Alex said quietly. We shall see. The highway around them shifted and changed like a movie scene transitioning to the next act. The burning car and the rescued family faded away completely, leaving only the empty desert road under the strange stars. Keanu found himself standing next to his motorcycle again, with Alex beside him, still looking like a small child in star-covered pajamas. That was well done, Alex said, their voice carrying a note of genuine approval. You acted without thinking about the danger to yourself. That is very human. Is that good or bad in the eyes of your Galactic Council? That depends on what you do next. Courage without wisdom can be just as dangerous as wisdom without courage. As Alex spoke, the desert around them began to fill with new shapes and sounds. Buildings rose from the sand like time-lapse photography of a city being built. Cars appeared on the highway. Street lights flickered to life. Within moments, they were standing on a busy city street instead of an empty desert highway. Where are we now? Keanu asked, looking around at the bustling sidewalks and tall buildings. Nowhere and everywhere, Alex replied. This is a place built from the memories and experiences of thousands of humans. It represents the world you know, but it exists only for this test. People walked past them on the sidewalk. Businessmen in suits, families with children, elderly couples holding hands. They all looked real and solid, but Keanu was beginning to understand that reality had become a very flexible concept tonight. What's the next test? Before Alex could answer, a man in an expensive suit approached them. He was tall and confident, with the kind of smile that politicians and salesmen used when they wanted something. Excuse me, are you Keanu Reeves? The man asked, extending his hand. I'm Brad Collins from Global Entertainment. I've been looking everywhere for you. Keanu shook the man's hand cautiously. I'm sorry, but I don't think we have any meetings scheduled. No, this is much better than a meeting, Brad said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. This is about the biggest opportunity of your career. Maybe the biggest opportunity in the history of entertainment. Alex moved closer to Keanu's side, watching the conversation with intense interest. What kind of opportunity? Keanu asked. Brad pulled out a thick contract from his briefcase. We want to offer you the lead role in a new type of movie. Not just any movie, a movie that will be seen by billions of people across the galaxy. Alien species from hundreds of different worlds will watch this film. Keanu felt his heart skip. Alien species? That's right. We've made contact with other intelligent life forms, and they're fascinated by human entertainment. They want to see what makes humanity special, and they've specifically requested you as their introduction to human culture. Brad opened the contract and showed Keanu the first page. The payment amount had so many zeros that Keanu had to count them twice. It was more money than he had ever imagined possible. This is incredible, Keanu said, staring at the numbers. But that's not even the best part, Brad continued. This movie will make you the most famous human in the galaxy. Every intelligent species will know your name. You'll be humanity's first galactic celebrity. Alex tugged gently on Keanu's jacket. Ask him what the movie is about. What's the story? Keanu asked. What kind of movie do they want to make? Brad's smile grew even wider. They want a movie that shows humans as the dominant species. Strong, powerful, unafraid of anything. The story is about humans conquering other worlds and showing the galaxy that Earth is the most important planet in the universe. Keanu felt a chill run down his spine. Conquering other worlds? Exactly. The aliens love the idea of humans as galactic warriors. They think it's exciting and dramatic. The movie will show humans defeating alien armies and taking control of their planets. You would play the human commander who leads the invasion fleet. But that would make humans look like... Keanu paused, trying to find the right words. Like winners. Brad finished enthusiastically. Like the species that other worlds should fear and respect. Isn't that what you want? To show the galaxy that humanity is not to be messed with. Keanu looked down at Alex, who was watching him with those unnaturally bright eyes. The child's expression was carefully neutral, giving no hint about what answer they wanted to hear. What if I said no? Keanu asked Brad. Brad's smile faltered slightly. Well, that would be unfortunate, you see. The aliens have made it clear that if humans don't want to cooperate in making this movie, they might decide that humanity isn't worth their time. They might just ignore Earth completely, or worse. They might decide that humans are too dangerous to be left alone. Are you threatening me? Not threatening, just explaining the situation. This movie could determine humanity's entire future relationship with the galaxy. If you make the movie, humans become galactic superstars. If you don single quotes Brad shrugged. Well, let's just say the aliens might lose interest in keeping humanity around. Keanu felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. Make a movie that portrayed humans as conquerors and bullies, or risk the survival of the entire human race. I need a minute to think, Keanu said. Of course. But don't take too long. The aliens are waiting for an answer. Brad walked a few steps away, pretending to talk on his phone while obviously listening to whatever Keanu might say. Alex looked up at him with those ancient eyes in a child's face. What are you thinking? I'm thinking this feels like a trap. Keanu said quietly. Making a movie like that would tell the galaxy that humans are violent and aggressive. It would make other species fear us, or want to stop us before we become too powerful. And yet, if you refuse, this man says humanity might be destroyed anyway. Do you think he's telling the truth? Alex was quiet for a moment. What do you think? Keanu studied Brad, who was still pretending to talk on his phone. Something about the man felt wrong, like an actor playing a role he didn't quite understand. I think, Keanu said slowly, that anyone who would threaten to destroy humanity if I don't make their movie is probably not someone humanity should trust. Even if refusing means putting your entire species at risk, especially then. If we start our relationship with other species by giving in to threats and making movies about conquering them, what does that say about who we really are? Alex nodded approvingly. And what do you think humanity should show the galaxy instead? Keanu thought about all the humans he had known over the years. The teachers who worked for low pay because they loved helping children learn. The doctors who spent their lives healing strangers. The artists who created beautiful things just to make the world a little more wonderful. We should show them our kindness, he said, our creativity, our ability to love people we've never met and help people who can't help us back. We should show them that humans can be trusted because we care about doing what's right, not just what's powerful. Even if it means giving up fame and money, especially then. Keanu walked back to Brad, who immediately hung up his phone and flashed that artificial smile. So, what's your decision? Ready to become the biggest star in the galaxy? No, Keanu said simply, I won't make that movie. Brad's smile disappeared completely. You're making a huge mistake. The aliens won't be happy about this. Then maybe they're not the kind of aliens humanity wants to work with. Fine, Brad said, his voice turning cold. But don't say I didn't warn you about the consequences. As Brad walked away, he began to fade like smoke, becoming transparent until he disappeared entirely. Was he real? Keanu asked. He was a projection, like the people in the diner. But the choice you made was very real and very important. Why? What was that test really about? Alex smiled, and for the first time since they had met, it looked like the genuine smile of a pleased child. It was about whether humans can resist temptation when the stakes are high. Whether you can choose what is right over what is easy, even when you're afraid. And how did I do? You showed me that humans can turn down power and fame if they believe it would hurt others. You chose to represent humanity with honesty rather than force. That is very rare among the species we have observed. The city around them began to fade, returning to the quiet desert highway under the strange stars. Is the test over now? Alex shook their head. There is one more test. The most important one. But first, I need to tell you something about what makes humans different from every other species we have ever encountered. What's that? You never stop trying to become better than you are. And that may be the most valuable thing in the entire galaxy. The desert highway stretched out before them once again, empty and quiet under the strange stars. Keanu found himself sitting on his motorcycle, with Alex standing beside him looking up at the impossible sky. The silence felt different now, not empty but full of waiting, like the moment before an important announcement. You said there was one more test, Keanu said, breaking the quiet. Alex nodded slowly. Yes, but this test is different from the others. This one is not about what you will do. It is about what you will understand. I don't follow. For the past 300 years, I have been studying humans. I have watched your species grow from people who barely understood fire to people who can split atoms and reach for the stars. I have seen your wars and your peace treaties, your art and your science, your cruelty and your kindness. Alex began walking in a small circle around the motorcycle, their small hands clasped behind their back like a professor giving a lecture. Most species, when they become intelligent, follow a very predictable path. They develop logic first, then technology, then they expand beyond their home world. By the time they reach the stars, they have learned to control their emotions, because emotions seem inefficient and dangerous. That doesn't sound terrible, Keanu said. No, it is not terrible. But it is limiting. These species become very good at solving problems and making logical decisions. They create peaceful societies and efficient governments. But they also become very predictable. They stop taking risks. They stop creating new things just for the joy of creation. They stop helping others unless there is a clear benefit to themselves. Alex stopped walking and looked directly at Keanu. They become safe, but they also become boring. And humans are different? Humans are completely different. You have developed incredible technology, but you have never learned to fully control your emotions. You still make decisions based on feelings instead of pure logic. You still take risks to help strangers. You still create art and music and stories just because they make you happy. Alex's eyes seemed to glow brighter in the starlight. Do you know what most alien species think when they first learn about human entertainment? What? They think you are insane. Why would anyone spend time and resources creating imaginary stories about people who do not exist? Why would you write songs about love and loss when you could be developing better technology? Why would you paint pictures of beautiful things when you could be solving practical problems? Keanu thought about all the movies he had made, all the stories that had moved him to tears or made him laugh. Because those things matter too. They make life worth living. Exactly. Alex said, their voice filled with excitement. That is what makes humans special. You understand that life is about more than just surviving and being efficient. You understand that beauty and kindness and love are not weaknesses to be overcome, but strengths to be celebrated. But we also make terrible mistakes. We hurt each other. We destroy our environment. We go to war over stupid things. Yes, you do. But here is the most important thing about humans. You feel bad about those mistakes. When you do something wrong, you try to do better next time. When you see suffering, you want to help. When you make a mistake, you tell stories about why that mistake was wrong, so that future generations can learn from it. Alex sat down on the highway, looking very small and very wise at the same time. Most species learn to avoid mistakes by becoming so careful that they never try anything new. Humans learn from mistakes by accepting that you will make them, but promising to keep trying to be better. And that's what you've been testing? Whether I would keep trying to be better. I have been testing whether the qualities that make humans special are still strong in your species. Whether you still choose kindness over safety, whether you still help others even when it costs you something, whether you still believe that doing what is right is more important than doing what is easy. And what did you decide? Alex stood up and brushed the dust off their star-covered pajamas. I decided that humanity is not ready for full contact with the galactic community. You are still too young, still learning, still growing. Keanu felt his heart sink, so we failed the test. No, Alex said firmly. You passed it beautifully. But passing the test does not mean you are ready for everything the galaxy has to offer. It means you are worth waiting for. What does that mean? It means the Kefir will recommend to the Galactic Council that humanity should be protected and guided, not controlled or destroyed. It means we will help your species grow and learn, but quietly, carefully, so that you can develop at your own pace. Alex began to glow softly, their form becoming less solid and more like light shaped into the form of a child. You will not remember this conversation when you wake up tomorrow, Alex continued. You will remember finding a lost child on the highway and helping them, but the details will fade like a strange dream. However, the feelings will remain. The knowledge that kindness matters, that helping others is important, that humanity can be better than it is. Will I see you again? Not as I am now. But you will feel my influence and the influence of my people. When human scientists make breakthrough discoveries that help heal diseases or protect the environment, some of those discoveries will come from ideas we plant in their dreams. When human artists create works that inspire others to be kinder and braver, some of that inspiration will come from us. The glow around Alex grew brighter, and Keanu could see through their small form to the stars beyond. We have been doing this for centuries already, Alex said, their voice becoming softer and more distant. Many of the greatest leaps forward in human history have had our quiet help behind them. Not because you could not do these things yourselves, but because we wanted to make sure you had the tools you needed to grow into the species you are meant to become. What kind of species is that? The kind that brings joy and creativity and hope to a galaxy that has forgotten how to dream. The kind that reminds other species what it means to love something more than yourself. The kind that makes the universe a more interesting and beautiful place. Keanu felt tears on his cheeks, though he was not sure why. How long before we're ready for real contact? Perhaps 50 years, perhaps 100. It depends on how quickly humanity learns to work together instead of against each other. But we will be watching and helping and waiting. Alex was almost completely transparent now, more light than substance. Remember, Keanu, even though you will not remember this conversation, you will remember the feeling of knowing that humanity matters. That what you do with your life matters. That being kind and brave and creative is not just nice, it is necessary. It is what makes you human, and it is what makes humans precious. The light that had been Alex flared once, brightening the entire desert for a moment, and then was gone. Keanu found himself sitting alone on his motorcycle on a quiet stretch of Boulder highway, looking up at stars that were once again arranged in familiar patterns. He started his bike and began riding toward home, feeling strangely peaceful and hopeful. As he rode, he found himself thinking about all the ways he could use his fame and resources to help people. More charity work, maybe. More projects that brought people together instead of driving them apart. He did not remember a child named Alex or a galactic council or tests that determined humanity's future. But he remembered the feeling of knowing that kindness was the most important thing a person could offer the world. And in research labs and artist studios and schools around the world, human beings woke up from dreams filled with new ideas and inspiration, never knowing that their creativity was being gently guided by ancient friends among the stars who believed in humanity's potential and were willing to wait as long as it took for that potential to bloom. The universe, it seemed, was patient with those who dared to keep dreaming.